Hello, hello, hello. I would like to welcome everyone to the 56th episode of Money Trees. We're here live early in the morning because today's guest is so damn selfless. He's busy making a real impact and helping the youth during our regularly scheduled time. It's truly a wonder. Anyway, I've watched as our guest works tirelessly in this space to make a name for himself. To call it inspiring is an understatement. When you see the roller coaster he went through to get here, it will make you get up and start working on that thing you've been putting off for so long. Let's welcome Dom Deshawn to the show. How are you feeling this morning, G?
Man, first off, good morning, everybody. Second, man, I feel pretty damn good. Working on like a lot of things right now, and I'm not gonna lie, your intro, like when I read it earlier, like fucked me up in like in a good way. Like, I'm still very much blind to what others see of me. So like it's cool to see that like the hard work and the stuff I do um it's like getting noticed by people that I really have a great respect for. So yeah, I'm doing good.
Yo, man, I'll tell you, and we'll definitely jump into the story elements that I've seen just go through. Mainly on Twitter was where my exposure came from, but there's a consistency to your approach, and there's an energy about the way you speak to people, about your art, the way you talk about everything in the space, the support that you show, and that resonates. So like all the flowers, all the love, that shit matters. And yeah, you know what? Let's jump right into it. Are you in Columbus right now?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Born and raised here. And yeah, it's like one of those situations where I've in my adulthood, it's definitely been me, like trying to travel a lot more. I mean, I might fuck around and like live in like another city for like a few months, like down the road. But I really want to like stay in Columbus and like have Columbus always be like home base. So, but yeah, I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
What is the so I'm not super familiar with much of the Midwest. Columbus is considered the Midwest, right? Am I off base
Yep.
there? All right, all right. This is a little bit of not to go on a tangent, but like I look at the map and I look at where Ohio is because I went to high school in Pennsylvania, and I'm
Okay,
looking at
word.
Ohio and I'm like, yo, this is not the West. It's like anyway. I digress. um, I'm not familiar with the scene out there too much, and as I was diving into your work, was your autumn prologue video shot in Columbus?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, that video was like shot literally, I want to say technically it was basically like Ohio State's like campus. That street where the video was shot was like a street over from like where this it's like this like coffee shop slash kind of like bar like in Columbus. That's literally like Ohio State's like campus. So yeah, it's shot in Columbus and really like in the heart of not too far away from downtown, but like really directly in the middle of like Ohio State campus.
So I've only ever really like been in major cities, and to me, I've always been interested by the love that can come from a hometown. Even hearing you open this up by saying, like, yeah, you might want to be other places, but you really want to make it in Columbus and you really want to make it for the city. What about your hometown makes you love it so much?
That's a good question. It's funny because I have these discussions with a lot of homies who, um, I feel like a lot of people have like the same problem, like being from like their hometown, and a lot of times you might not get the love that you feel like you deserve from like your hometown. But for me, even with that, like for some reason, I'm just like I want to be one of those like anomalies that come from the city that like really stays here. and shows people like, yo, like not only with this music shit, but like with this art stuff, you can really stay here and quote unquote get on or like get to like where you want to be. And um not only in Columbus, but like Ohio in general, like we're one of these states where like we have so much like talent here, and you can do your Googles on like how many different like artists, actors, whatever the case may be, like are from Ohio, but like have to like relocate to other cities and stuff like that to like really take their career to like the next level. Um, but I really want to be like one of those like people that like that stays here in Columbus and is able to elevate the city and take it to new heights. But yeah, it's just it's home. Like at the end of the day, um, my immediate family, like my parents are here. Um, my older brother and my younger brother, they're both like well, funny enough, my younger brother he's in Pittsburgh, and then my older brother he's living in Tampa right now. Um, but yeah, I think it's one of those things for me. Like when I first started like making music, luckily I had some mentors and some people. I wouldn't even say at the time they were even mentors. They were just like people who I was seeing doing shit from my city who were like on the blogs and stuff that I would go to every single day, and just kind of ignited the idea of like, oh, you can be from Columbus and really like get to these places and be viewed by these people. So at the end of the day, it's home, and I mean I really love it here, and I really want to be one of those people that kind of like takes the city to the next level. And like when you think of Columbus, I want to be like one of those people that you think of because still people don't really know too much about the city or like about Ohio and like think we're just like farmlands and shit like that. And now there's actual stuff to do here, and also like a lot of artists making incredible music.
Hometown love is a really fickle beast where on one hand, once you're recognized elsewhere, there's nothing like getting that love from the people who's like watched you grow up or have known you since you were young, and they love talking about it. And be like, oh nah, I knew Dom from whatever, whatever, and we used to go to the after school and then we would be over here and yada yada. But at the same time, it's tough. It's and this I would say applies to a lot of people or a lot of places where there's that middle area where since people know you and since people have seen you, it becomes a little bit harder for them to support you because they know you in this before period. And a lot of times in your hometown, you'll have the biggest haters because they also grew up with you. And people feel like, oh, well, that could have been me or that should have been me. And so it's such a tightrope to be navigating, but it's ill that you're approaching it from this way. And I believe that once you get to that point where you are that staple in Columbus, you'll be very, very happy that you kind of stuck to your guns that way. One dope thing though is you said it like sometimes artists have to go to other cities to make it. I think the pandemic forcing everyone inside, while it had its negative effects, there were some positives that came out of that, where many things moved to being remote and essentially borderless. So it doesn't really matter where you're at right now. And of course, there's some caveats to that, but I'm speaking rather generally, where in a space like Web3, your hometown or your location isn't as important as your contributions to the space. When did you first start paying attention to the Web3 world?
I think I want to pinpoint like I think it was around I want to say like fall or like late summer of last year. So I'll probably say around oh yeah, so around like September of like last year is when I really started to slowly but surely start to take more notes about it. I think I said this before, like to somebody else, but I remember. So I was like one of those people who was lucky enough to be kind of like very early, like on Clubhouse and stuff like that. But when I would see spaces about like crypto and then like NFTs and stuff, that stuff for me at the time was just like so like I felt like shit I couldn't understand. I never like tapped into those rooms. And like in hindsight, I like regret it so much because it's like, damn, like I know like a lot of people who were like really, really early on in the space, like kind of migrated from like Clubhouse over to like Twitter and stuff like that. And they like formed like a lot of connections back then. But it was like, damn, man, I wish I, I wish I like kind of just like jumped in some of those rooms just to start like paying attention. But it was definitely like September, and I think the biggest thing for me, what I was seeing that made me like, okay, I should kind of peep this space is that I was seeing like a lot of artists who I felt like were very similar paths of me in terms of like, yo, this artist has been making music for years, like a decade or like damn near close to, and I've been like a fan of their work for like a while or kind of just like hip to them, and now I'm seeing them make NFTs and stuff like that. So it was like artists who are like highly respected, like Maroof and um, I'm on Europe, and then um, it was a lot of people like who I was kind of just like seeing who I already knew from quote unquote like Web 2 and stuff like that. And then I think what really to this day like I know for sure what like actually sparked was like I'm keep on seeing some stuff. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let me start. I think I should like at least start paying attention more. And then when I seen Ibn do his crowdfund, that was like the last like okay, this is clearly something very very real for somebody to I believe if I'm not mistaken I think he released like $80,000 like for his album, and seeing that I was like oh shit okay this is legit. He was like another artist who like I've been hearing about for like for years, and then like I saw migrate to the Web 3 space, and then actually around that time around September is like when I first started to jump in Twitter Spaces, and it was kind of just like being like a fly on the wall. But like I remember like early September, like when Ibn like really started to like jump in like Twitter Spaces and stuff, and like how at the time I vividly remember he was like really nervous to even like get on stage a lot of times and stuff like that. And I could just like tell, I was like, yo, I can just tell he's like a really genuine, like real dude, and um, that just made me kind of just like follow him like even more. And then like the next like month or so, like when he launched, like I think it was like in towards the end of October, and to see like what he did, and I was like keeping up with it like literally every day. Like every day I was like, oh, it's like 5,000. The next day it'd be like 10, and then it just kept on going up. I was like, okay, this is something I really need to pay attention to. So it was around like September of last year when I start kind of just being a fly on the wall. And then by like the fall time, it was like, okay, I need to do a little bit more research on my back end and really try to like get into this space.
Yo, you became a student of the game. I love that. I love that approach. I think it's smart, especially when getting into a space as hectic and I don't want to say convoluted, but just as hectic as music NFTs especially can be. There was a lot of fire ish that we could kind of talk about from what you just said. Shout out to Ibn and the crowd fund. I don't want to spend too much time on, I don't want to call it a negative, but it's a conversation that just came up. We're literally in the group chat seeing it. You look at Ibn and then you look at kind of the precedent that's gotten set and what's been a catalyst for people getting into the space. And a lot of it's been, sellouts and quick sellouts and all this money that came from there. And on one hand, it becomes very enticing because you're like, oh, wow, like I can finally support myself. I can finally, do X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, it's like, well, where is this money coming from? Why are they supporting these people? Is it the hype? Is it the art? Is it the content? And I don't have the answers for this, but I think that when we look at just the state of the space, it becomes something that we're going to have to figure out sooner than later. In particular, we can look at what happened with you and your drop on Releap with Kind of Blue, which you ended up selling out. And I don't know how much of it's public info, so I'm kind of just going to lob it to you to share as much as you feel
Oh no,
comfortable
we could talk
sharing.
about it.
Okay. Anyway, when we look at what happened leading up to that drop and subsequently immediately after that drop with Luca, and you know what? You said we can talk about it. I'm not even going to paraphrase. Can you walk us through really first reaching out to you, why you ended up going with them, and the shenanigans that ensued leading up to and through your sellout?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to preface by saying this, like I'm somebody who doesn't like. I don't really like slandering and like dragging people. For me, it's a based off of like I'm literally just talking about literally what happened, like facts wise, and like what my experience was. Um, I still dropped on the platform, so like it is what it is. But yeah, they I got reached out by Releap. It was literally like end of like January, so it was like pretty early on, and yeah, so I got reached out. They were like, "Yo, we've been seeing you like in like spaces and like you having like a few drops and like we really mess with your music. We would love to have like a chat about things." And then yeah, so the first like 2 months were cool. Like we were having general discussions about like kind of like the timeline of where they like were wanting to like launch like their beta, and how like they were like, "Yo, like we really would want you to be like one of our first artists to like drop on the platform," and and then also too like on the flip side, they use they're like built on like Solana, and as somebody who like is learning more about the space, like of course I hear about Ethereum, and like mostly most of the platforms that we know of are like built on Ethereum, but I was hearing a lot about Solana as well too, and I was like, oh shit, okay, I think this would be a cool opportunity to kind of experiment like on Solana, because um I already had no like experience with it, and really didn't know like where to like kind of like start with that. So yeah, everything leading up to it for 2 months was pretty smooth, and then I want to say like start of this had to be like maybe middle of March, when we start to like kind of like, hey, let's kind of agree like on what song we want to select, and then like when we want to drop and all this stuff. Um, so originally, I would just say originally I sent them a song. They said they liked it, and then like a few days later, they were like, "Yo," some of our collectors said they wanted something a little bit more jazzier, something a little bit more, I guess, like what they might have heard from me before. Which, like, if you really really listen to my catalog, like, granted, I do have like a very I feel like a kind of consistent sound in a lot of my stuff. I also do like have like other sounding like stuff. Um, so initially I was like, I don't know. But then I was like, all right, fuck it. I was like already working on a song. But also to being like the slight petty person I am, I'm like, okay, cool. Like if this is what y'all want, I literally if you listen to the call song kind of blue, the hook is literally like, oh, y'all really wanted jazzy, right? All right, y'all wanted something jazzy, right? I'm like saying this, I'm literally talking to whoever the collectors were, who I'm gonna assume they were probably like Caucasian males from the age of like late 20s to like early 40s or some shit, because that seems to be the case a lot of times. But yeah, so I did that. They loved the song. The next meeting, we kind of like agreed on a date, and like how many editions that we wanted to do. I was like, cool. And then the first launch happens. It sells out within like an hour. Really excited about it. Um, and then the next day, like Solana kind of takes a dip, and I get like an email basically stating like, "Hey, we're kind of like worried about like how things are going like with Solana. So like we are thinking about like kind of like restructuring things." So they basically asked if I wanted to do essentially literally cut my price in half. Like it literally was like in half, and then like make it like more additions. And like my problem and like from the jump was like, yo, so I see that you already have two releases uh coming before mine. So like basically I was gonna be the fourth release. The two other releases at the time were like shown on their website for a specific amount and a specific amount of editions. And I was like half of that what they were proposing to me. So my initial I was like, yo, are you asking them to also change their price and editions as well too? Because I don't feel right to be the first like hip hop artist like on y'all platform, and I'm the one that has to take like the price cut. Whether like that was their intentions or not, that's just how it felt from my side of things. So I was like, yo, like I don't really feel comfortable about this. I really think y'all should like think about this. And then they were like, yeah, we had further talks about that, and yeah, we decided that we're gonna like not like slash the price in half, whatever the case may be. So I was like, okay, cool. But then it was just like constantly like back and forth of like changing the date that we agreed on to changing the amount of editions that we agreed on to it was just like so for like 3 or 4 weeks it was I'm not gonna lie, it felt like hell, like of going back and forth and like always like changing. It was like just very inconsistent, and like it just felt like I had to do the most compared to like the other artists who were like releasing on the platform, and there was just always like constantly like these excuses. um, and then what reached a breaking point was when I like go to their like website. I mean, on like to their Twitter page, and like to reference like 15 minutes before, I'm just like, hey, we're supposed to like launch this like next week. Let's like really set this officially like on a day and a time, because the time that y'all have right now on your website like it's literally going to be latest shit my time, Eastern Standard Time. So we need to like reevaluate this. And also too, the third person who like dropped, they sold out as well too. So I was like, all right, I think we can make it like higher editions. I'm pretty sure I can like sell out because the last dude did as well too. And then after I send that email, 15 minutes later, I go on their website, and then their banner, they like have a bunch of like basically just like a bunch of like artwork of like different like artists like projects and stuff. And like in the center is like literally like four of like my like album covers and stuff like that, where like it's like it looks like I'm like front and center of their like banner and stuff like that. As little as it might have been like on the surface level, for me it's just like, yo, like y'all put me through the ringer of all this stuff, but then like kind of like promoting me as like a main artist on your platform. So like, nah, bro, y'all can't play with me in terms of like trying to like undervalue. So like, and then like I sent them like another email. I'm like, yo, yeah, now we really need to talk, because y'all can't just be like having me like undervalued and then like promoting me like on a website and stuff like that. Luckily we talked. It was like on a Saturday. I expressed myself fully. I did not. I mean, like it was definitely like in a professional manner. Like I wasn't cussing like folks out and stuff like that. But like I was telling them how it is. I was like, yo, like I don't feel right. Uh, being like the first hip hop and like black artists on y'all platform, and it feels like y'all are making me do the most and shit like that. And yeah, we were able to hear each other on both sides, and then they were like, "Yo, like, okay, um, we're about to actually like have your value like at this amount and at this editions." And I was like, "Okay, this is what I feel good with. This is like what I wanted. Let's go with that." And then the launch day happens. Um, Basically I feel like their main issue right now is like trying to um really kind of like emulate like other platforms, especially like a sound drop, where like sometimes like they might have sellouts in like an hour or so, and like it's just not realistic to, and that's not sustainable. Like that's not gonna happen like every single time. And like I didn't sell out immediately. And on the I felt good about like eventually I did sell out like in the morning, but I felt good about it because like I was actually hitting up friends who really weren't even like hip to like Web3, and I'm like onboarding them and like creating like helping them create like their first wallets, and all that stuff. And like I'm really actually seeing the sales go go down because of like friends I'm like helping out. So like I already felt good about like the sellout in terms of like what I did, and like I know I actually had an impact on it and stuff like that. But within like the hour, the Lucas situation happened, and like his release like got pulled on the platform because basically from what I've told and like what I've noticed, it feels like because I wasn't selling out like fast enough, and like his release is gonna be coming up on the like the same exact day. It They didn't feel right to have him like drop on that day when I still wasn't like sold out at that moment. So you can take it how it is. Um, I can see on both sides, but like in the grand scheme of things, is like I know like how I was like treated, and like how like it just was. I didn't feel like the same as like some of the other artists. So, it is what it is. But it was definitely like a lesson learned, and also too, I felt good about like even from like a business side of things of like negotiating and shit like that, and really standing firm of like what I believe in, of the value of like my art, and like knowing like nah, like my stuff is as valuable, if not more, than like these other artists as well too. So yeah, that was like a hopefully a quick synopsis, but yeah, it was a headache in times, but it's still something like I'm happy I did because I learned a lot, and I was also able to get like a lot of like homies who just weren't even like really hip. It's still kind of not really hip to Web3, but they were like, "Yo, we really fuck with you, so like, how can we help out?" type thing. So I'm happy I was like able to like get that sellout and kind of do it like my way.
Yo, thank you for sharing that. Whew, a lot to unpack. And I don't think we'll do all of it on this episode because the show is a focus on you. But I wanted to have that story documented for other people to hear and take from it what they may. The one comment I will add is that too much of this space is predicated on hype and instant sellouts. You know, everyone's favorite project, Board Ape, didn't sell out right away. Just friendly reminder. I think it sets a bad precedent for the platforms because, to your point, it's unsustainable. But for the artist, it creates this level of pressure that is unneeded for your art. You know, this is your life, and artists pour their heart and souls into their music, into their digital art, into their graphics, into their films, whatever your discipline of art is. When you make truly great art, it comes from, you know, your essence, your being, your spirit. And to have people tell you that, oh, it didn't sell out in an hour or 12 minutes, it doesn't have the value that we thought it does, it's so demoralizing and it's really just unfair. But at the end of the day, they're trying to create hype so they can say, oh, everyone sold out, or look how quick it sold out, so they can come in and bring more money. I really feel like, you know, value should come from ownership more than scarcity, from owning this music or this art piece and being a collector of this artist, as opposed to being the only one that had it or the first one that had it, having a real appreciation for it. And, you know, let me correct myself there because value, sure, for quick flips, you're going to want scarcity, whatever. Long term with art, with owning a piece of art, I think it requires a different mindset. And we're going to have to see that shift happen because not everyone is going to sell out. And that does not mean that the art is any less valuable. I remember watching this play out with you in real time, and I'm just like, yo, that doesn't mean anything. And then to then base another artist project and to pull that based off something else that you're seeing for your platform, it has nothing to do with the art or the artist and everything to do with the perception that you want to have around these drops. And I get it, you know, whatever, it's a business, so that's going to be your stance on it. But if you're going to be in the music business, people also need to, like, a lot of these music platforms have never ever worked in the music industry or never at least had success in the music industry, and they don't understand the real life cycle of a single or an EP or an LP. Yes, most of your streams will come in that initial period, but for a lot of songs, it doesn't. We could look at Lizzo and DaBaby, who are two of the biggest artists in the game, you know, DaBaby's shenanigans aside, where their records that blew up for them happened months after. Truth Hurts, I think, was what, like a year and a half, 2 years later for Lizzo. When you look at that in this space, it would have been deemed a failure. And that's such just a backwards way of thinking for me, and also why personally I'm just not the biggest fan of the current music NFT landscape, because I don't think people are catering to the artist the way that they need to. Tangent aside, Dom, you know, there's you talk about you being in Twitter Spaces, right? And again, I want to circle it back on you. Man, there was so much ill stuff I wanted to get to, and I want to make sure I can like fit it in. I don't have you here for 2 hours. Um, I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit and then go back into the Twitter Web3 side of it. Dom Deshawn, your real name is kind of fire, G. Why did you not go with your actual name? Is Deshawn your middle name? Like, what led to that change?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Now, for those who don't know, I mean, so this is it's a funny story. So, like my actual real last name is Dominique Deshawn Maddox. And the funny thing about my middle name is, as a kid, I still to this day do not know why, but like when people used to always ask like what my middle name was, I literally would not. I wouldn't tell anybody. Like it was weird. I don't know. Like I never knew why. Like I didn't like tell people my middle name, and like I don't even know if I really thought like my middle name was like bad or not because my like one of my favorite uncles, his name's Sean. Uh, so like I mean it was like it's kind of like that. So like I don't know why I used to not tell people like my middle name, but it was one of those things where when I started off um so this is like around like high school when I was like, okay, I was really starting to get into like the music shit, like really writing damn near almost like every day. And I recorded two verses like when I was in high school. I think the first song I literally ever like rapped on was the Dead President's like instrumental with like two of my friends. Um Back I think it was like my junior year of like high school or some shit. And then and at that time I literally just didn't have a name. Um it was me trying to like figure it out. So I don't think I've ever told this. This is how much I fuck with you, bro. I don't think I've ever said this in like any interview, writing, or anything. My actual like I don't want to say this is like my first name I actually had because like I never like released like any music like with it. Um, but this had to be like towards the end of high school. I had a month or so period where like my rap name was, oh my gosh, shit is so bad. It was DS Logic, and it stood for Dom Spits Logic. And at the time, I knew instantly it was bad because one of my homies instantly like was making fun of me, calling me like Nintendo DS because I think Nintendo DS like dropped around the same time. I was just like, yeah, nah, I don't think that's gonna work. So yeah, I went back to the drawing board, and then I was like, oh shit, like um, damn near everybody calls me Dom. Um, and then I have this middle name that I literally don't use, and I haven't even really told people. And then like I just start writing it down on paper and just like looked at it. I was like, yo, like Dom Deshawn, just like that's like a dope like rap name, but it's also like my actual name. It also too kind of like has like a like kind of rhymes and it kind of just like sounds good. So I was like, you know what? Nah, this is it. So like pretty much since I've been like maybe like 18, 19, I've always had like Dom Deshawn like as like my artist name and haven't changed it. Like luckily I was on Twitter like super early, so like I was able to get Dom. So if you look on like all my socials, like it's literally just Dom Deshawn. It doesn't like have like any extra numbers or anything like that. Like I luckily was enough pretty much on every social media platform, I was able to like come on the platform early enough where like I actually have like my actual like artist name and stuff like that too. So yeah, Dom Deshawn is the it's my name.
DS Logic is in the building. DS Logic isn't terrible. Like it sounds like it's like a YBN name where it's like your name is Logic with DS is the group. So I'm not too mad at it, but them calling you Nintendo DS is funny. Yo, man, I wish I had just at Khufu on all my social handles. I digress. So clearly, you've been rapping long before Web3. You already gave us one exclusive with the first original Dom Deshawn artist name. Can you tell us what led to your 3 year hiatus between 2014 and 2017?
Oh shit, man. You listen, man. You on your Nardwar shit. That's a I'm like I'm like, oh shit. Hold on, wait, let me think. All right, so 2014 I released Moves and Interludes. Um okay, so I, I feel like I didn't drop in 2015 like an actual official project. And then like late, I think it was like summer ish. Or no, it was like summer fall of 2016. I actually released Before Sunset, which if you look on streaming platforms, which I have to like go back and check, but like basically I took it down for like a second, and then when I put it back up, or I put it back up as like a deluxe. So like it's bookmarked as like 2021, but it actually came out originally back in like 2016. But if I remember from that hiatus, I think honestly it was just a lot of so 2015 is when I started to do my own like events. So kind of what happened with that was I was like in a time where like I just wasn't getting booked as much as I wanted, and like I really was like trying to perform and stuff like that. Um and for me, I'm like one of those people where I always be like, yo, am I just gonna like sit here and like bitch and complain about it, or am I gonna like find like my own like door to go through? So I was like, you know what? Let me just like I'm not getting booked. Let me just literally start booking my own shows and like doing my own events and stop waiting for other people to do that for me. So 2015, my first event was I believe was September 2015. I did an event called Kami's Lookout, which for those who are like Dragon Ball Z fans, it was like a reference to that. Um, but for like my events, like really what I was going for, like even though like yeah, I really wanted to perform, my biggest thing was like, yo, let me also book like other artists who I think are like really dope, who might not be getting booked as much, or like it's just like artists who I really like mess with, and like let me just like curate like a night of like performances, whether of like DJs, like rappers, like singers, and kind of just like really create like my own space. It was cool because like it was one of those things where like it wasn't like on like my bingo card of like things I was like trying to do as like an artist, but like once I started doing it, um people like instantly started like gravitating towards it. And I think it's just like taste wise, I just have a pretty solid like taste in music. So like the lineups I was getting was like really like pretty dope. Like I mean, especially like locally, like when I first started doing it, like the artists who are like bringing together, it just like fit like really well. But yeah, my main thing was like even the events, even though like I was like really trying to perform bad, like I didn't want the highlight to be on me. So like I never like made the events like Dom Deshawn and Friends or like anything like that. Like I tried to put them like under like an umbrella of like a event name, and then kind of like of course like people started like knowing that like I was doing the events, but like I was trying my best like not to like have to focus on me. Like I think maybe there was only like one time like where I like performed last, but most of the time like I was like I'll put myself like in the middle of the set list, or um things of that nature. Like I really wanted to like highlight like other people as well too. So that kind of like became a thing, and like I was like for a while like even like starting to like really focus like on events, but then kind of came to a point I was like, yo, like am I trying to be like a fucking like a event coordinator and like promoter, or like am I really like doing this music shit? So I was like, yo, I gotta like find a balance. So like I kind of started to only do like events like here and there, and like really get back into like focusing on like the music. And then like 2016 is like when I released like that project. And then started to be a lot more consistent. I think I've averaged at least one project a year. Maybe like there was like one year I didn't like release anything, but yeah, that was like I feel like the cause of like the hiatus like around that time is like I kind of start getting focused on like doing like events, and that start like just sucking up like a lot of like valuable time, because anybody who's like done events and stuff like that like knows like it's a lot of work and very annoying at times, but definitely like gratifying when you bring like really dope people together, and a lot of times like they build like friendships like after that and stuff like that. So I believe that was like kind of like the main reason for the hiatus between those years.
I think that you can attest to the fact, not only in those years, but in a more recent event, that when people get together, you can build long lasting friendships and have great energies surrounding music. Tell us what happened with your adventure down to South by Southwest this year.
Oh man. So uh to give insight, it's funny because this was actually my fourth year of going to South by Southwest. I had another hiatus. I took a I think the last year before was like 2016 I went. But that at the end of that time I was just like, at that point I was like, all right, yo, like I'm not gonna go to South by Southwest again unless like I'm actually like performing. And it wasn't like on like some cocky shit, but like it got to a point, especially going to like a ton of like rap events, of like I'm seeing dudes and other artists, and I'm just like, yo, like I know I can like perform better for this person, or like might have better music than this person. Like I need to like be on stage and stop just being like a spectator. And I felt like the first like 3 years I went, like I was still kind of like finding myself like as an artist, and still like the a lot of times I didn't feel like I didn't hold myself to like a peer level. It felt like more or less like I was like a fan like a lot of times. So this year it was definitely different, where I'm just like, okay, I know I don't have anything lined up to perform, but for me, something in my spirit was just telling me like, yo, you have to get down to South by this year. Like I miss like NFT NYC that happened like in the fall, and then like Art Basel, and like I saw like what happened with a lot of people that like went there, and like a lot of connections that were made. And as somebody who's like been in the space for like a few months, and like I'm meeting like a lot of like really dope artists, and like just honestly dope people like all together. I was like, man, like something tells me I need to like get down there. But yeah, my ass is broke. And like I couldn't fly. And anybody knows that like South by, like if you try to fly the to Austin like that week, like the ticket prices are always just like ridiculous, more than usual. So I was like, yo, I can't afford shit, I might have to drive. And also too, it's like kind of like a personal mission, where like I know like a lot of my friends really aren't like too tapped in with like with Web3 yet. And like I didn't want to like, when I like a lot of times when I travel out, sometimes will travel by myself or go to a city by myself, because like I don't also want to be like obligated with somebody, where I'm just like, yo, we have to go to these places, and I have to like worry about making sure the other person's like having a good time. So I'm just like, all right, let me just go make this trip. But yeah, I live in Columbus, so the drive to Columbus to Austin is like 17 hours. And yeah, I really went through like a journey to like going down there, like um even before like the main situation happened, like 4 hour like 4 or 5 hours before that, like I'm in like Tennessee, and then randomly like a legit snowstorm happens. I'm just like, yo, I just left Columbus and I'm seeing like snow in the south, like what the hell's going on? And and then I managed to get through that, get back on the road, and this is about like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm finally like in Texas, across the border. And then like I'm like driving on the left side of the road. I see something. I think it's like a piece of like concrete or something. And unfortunately, it was like just one of those things where like it was way too close for me to like try to swerve, because it just would have caused like an accident or something like that. So I was like, I gotta like roll over this, and then I hit it, and then almost immediately I get like a notification like on my tire pressure things, like your tire pressure is like decreasing. I'm just like, oh shit, all right, here we go. And then yeah, so luckily I'm like kind of by like this like little truck stop area. I pulled over, call like roadside assistance. Them niggas don't even get there for like another, like legitimately, I called them at 5. They didn't get there until like 9 o'clock in the morning. So like that was the thing. But while I'm like there and like waiting, I'm already in like, okay, like how, like what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get through this? And like I started to like I started to like write a song, and then also too like I was able to like capture this like footage of like the sunset, and like the way I did it at an angle where like you see the like my spare tire leaned up against like my car, and like it's like a really cool like sunset, and like I'm like on the side of the road. And so like I'm just like, all right, like just in case if I need to do something with this stuff, like I have it in the vault. Roadside assistants get there. They actually look at the tire. It's like way worse than what they like thought. Like, basically my rim is like fucked up, and I'm in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and they basically like, yo, you gotta go to a tire shop. Tire shop looks at it. They're like, oh yeah, we don't have like the size rim that you need. So what we can do is change all your rims and all your tires. That's gonna be almost like 2 grand. And I'm gonna be transparent. I had like $400 like in my account at the time. I'm just like, yo, I literally can't do that. Um, at that time, that was the first point where I almost like actually broke down and like cried at that point because I was like, yo, like I'm in a place where like there's no black people in this part of Texas where I'm at, and like I'm too far away from Ohio for somebody to come pick me up, and then like I'm still quite a few hours away from like Austin and even like Dallas, where like I have like friends. So it's like, shit. All right. Luckily, I was kind of like able to talk more with the dude, and basically I was able to buy like a good enough spare tire to get me on the road and to get me to Austin. And my thing was like, all right, if I get to Austin, I knew I was gonna be there for a week. I was like, that'll give me enough time to just figure shit out. So once I get there, um, I'm salty because I it's like on a Saturday, and I really was trying to make like the first like a Zoratopia like events, because it was like an all day like thing. They had like the panel, like a performance like midday, and then they had like the event like at night. And luckily enough, I was able to make like the event at night, and then like I'm just like meeting literally everybody you can like think of like in the space who was like at um like South by. Like actually shout out to Carla. Carla was there. Um and I got to meet so many people, and the cool thing and like the crazy thing was like I'm starting to have conversations with people, and like I'm telling them about my story. Not only some like, yo, like they'll feel sorry for me. It's just like, yo, like, oh yeah, bro, like how's everything going? I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, like literally just like 8 hours ago, I was like on the side of the road. I didn't even think I was gonna get here. And like I know it gets like cliche, like we always talk about community, but I'm like a firsthand example of like that shit is really real. And like immediately I'm having conversations with people, and they're like, and like, oh nah, bro, like we gonna help you out. Like we gonna make sure you get back home because like not only did we see like I'm telling people I drove from like Columbus, and like it's a 17-hour drive. Like people one see the like the drive and like to even like do that, and then two, um, people like really fuck with me, and they were like, "Yo, like we already messed with you like online, but like seeing you in person, like you literally that same person plus more. Like, nah, bro, like we could tell like you're a genuine person. Like we gotta like try to help you out in some type of way." And like basically so in my mind, I'm telling people, I'm like, yo, like I'm thinking about doing like a mirror campaign, but I was like kind of scared because I was like, yo, what if I launch a campaign and like nobody like donates to the shit? And like I'm having conversations with people that are like, nah, bro, I think that would be like a good idea. And by the second Zoratopia event I go to, which is like on the Monday, um, more people are like, I'm literally talking to everybody from like Black Dave to Maroof to Ja to Ibn to, and everybody's like, nah, man, we like people are gonna show out and like and help you out. So that Tuesday, I spent the entire morning and like the last previous days, like kind of like trying to write out like the story and stuff like that. So I put together the mirror campaign. I launched it. It was like maybe like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. I kid you not. Like I was able to reach my goal in like 35, 40 minutes. And then on top of that, like more people still like were like donating. So like I ended up like exceeding my goal. And I mean at that point, like basically I let it go for like the rest of the day just in case if somebody else like wanted to donate. But I ended up closing out like the next morning. It wasn't even like a full 24 hours. And I was like, yeah, so basically, I was able to raise enough funds, get my car fixed like before, like while I was in Austin, and then that weekend, like hit the road back to Columbus, and yeah, it was the the epitome of like community community like showing up and supporting somebody, and like and like even like the actual crowdfund, like I was able to reach my goal with only 8 backers, and like I have people like Latasha and Black Dave and 20 Deuce and my friend Lauren and Elise Swopes and all these people like donating, and it just like it just yeah, it was a very like humbling moment, and like I like basically shed some tears, and like she was real. She was real. It was like really a good feeling, that like knowing like it also felt like for me it was like damn, like all the like good karma that I've been building over like years of just being like a genuine person. It felt like in that moment I was like, okay, I was able to kind of like be rewarded in that, like, yeah, man, you've been good, and people really do like genuinely like care about you, like they're gonna actually like support you and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the long short story of my South by Southwest journey. But it was literally honestly the most like life changing um thing like for my career. Like all the artists who I was like able to meet, and like it was worth the journey and worth the headache.
Finding the courage to even share that in person, finding the courage to share that publicly, dealing with that situation, having to humble yourself like that just shows your character. Being able to persevere in the face of adversity. Everyone loves an underdog. And sometimes we forget that because we're so encapsulated with this world of everything. Again, we talk about, oh, it needs to sell out right away, or like you need to be rich, or you need to have all of your shit together. And a lot of times that's just not a reality. And people relate to these stories, these underdog stories. I don't even want to say that's an underdog story, but relate to hardship because most people have gone through it at one point or another in their lives. And when they're in a position to be able to provide that help, they will spread that. They will share that. On a smaller scale, it kind of reminded me of what happened with Aku World and their whole $34 million getting locked up, and watching the community rally around them in the project. And I'm sure that they will bounce back stronger. You talk about it, the word community. I've talked about it at length on this show, how I hate how much people throw that word around, but there are instances when it truly does hold its meaning. What you just described is for sure an example of community. And I guarantee the story that you shared on this show, for anyone that's unfamiliar and for the ones that are familiar with you and your journey, it will endear you to them. They're able to see that vulnerability and watch you overcome it to go on and do great things in the space. So, Dom, thank you for sharing that story. I genuinely appreciate it. And yeah, I think it is indicative of the great karma that you've built up, and you've been a great, like, even the fact that we're having this episode this early again, like it is to go and help the youths. um on that note, yo, before I let you get out of here, there are two questions I ask every single guest of the show. The first question is going to be, what is your seed phrase? I know, crypto, account recovery key. No, 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 no. You're familiar with the show. We're on episode 56. I am still going to do the explanations of what a seed phrase is, but today we're not. I think I've enjoyed listening to you speak, so I'm going to shut up. Dom Deshawn, what is your seed phrase?
Um, I've been thinking about this. Like literally, I've been thinking about this for every time I like listen to your show. I'm like, yo, if he hits me up to be on the show, I gotta like really like have this in the bag. But I think my C phrase is gonna be After Hours, which is the name of like the brand I've like built over the years. But also too just like a motto that like I stand by. And for those that don't know, like so like the word After Hours is like the name of my brand, but also to like the actual spelling After Hours, like I have it is capital AFTERH, and then capital OURZ. So it's kind of like a double meaning. So like from a standpoint of like my sound and like my aesthetic, what I've built over like the years, like that's kind of just like my sound. Like I always tell people, it's like a very like authentic, um, introspective. A lot of times sounds better playing it at night. But just kind of just like that type of music that really gets you that feeling. Um, Sometimes that unexplainable feeling that like I have gotten like from a lot of the music I have like grown up on, like whether it be Slum Village or the Missy Elliott's and the Aaliyah's and the Little Brothers and the tribes. Like that's kind of like the feeling that I want to give to people. If I could like capsulate it like in one word, I would like say like it's after hours. But then on the flip side, with the capital O, it's very much intentional of like, yo, like I really want to have this like this campaign of like, yo, like going after your goals and like going after your dreams and going after things that you really want to do. And it's cool because like, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but like for those who don't know, like last August, I ended up like quitting like my 9 to 5 to pursue this music like full time, and then also too that September was actually my 10-year anniversary of like me releasing my first mixtape. And yeah, it's one of those things where like, yo, like everybody everybody's path is different. Everybody's like journey is different. And just because you've been doing music for like a while doesn't mean that you still can't like get over that hump of whatever you're trying to do and like get to that next level. I think the only reason why like I'm like getting in the spaces I am now is that like I just haven't given up. Like I've been doing this shit for like so long now. And I've seen like a lot of people like give up on this shit, but like I truly believe in what I do and I really love what I do. And I know I'm gonna get to where I wanna be. And that's kind of just like what I stand for. So like after hours is like my seed phrase and describes like the sound of music I play. I mean, I make, and then also too like kind of just like my motto of like still going, like always going after your goals and after going after your dreams and stuff that you love.
Yo, I absolutely love that. And it's really dope hearing you say that because I think that you exemplify that in how you carry yourself. I opened up the tweet and the episode with my intro of you by saying tenacity can't be taught. And it's clear that you are a tenacious person. And that is what's gotten you to this point and will continue to push you through as you expose the world to more of Dom Deshawn's art. My second question is going to be, what are we listing your one of one money trees number 56 note for?
Oh, so I'm not gonna lie, bro. I didn't. This is the part of the show I actually forgot about, and I might have to, I might have to come back to you on that. I don't know. Um,
All good. All good. Yo, it's funny. See, people seed phrase most of the time are ready for it. Price, it's always like,
yeah,
so you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. For me, I like letting the guest price it. It's one takes the stress off me of having to figure out the whole NFT economic side of it, and also the sales are relatively secondary in my mind. I enjoy the conversation and just the note itself. I think that we're 56 in, and I can look at this wall of really dope individuals that have blessed me with an hour or so of their time to come on the show, and it's very very ill. So don't worry about the price, man. This is you've already paid your dues. You've came and planted your seeds here on the show. So I've had to also stop saying plant seeds because it's a little. Never mind. I digress. What's up, G? What are you about to say?
nah, man, this is like I think I told you before when we were like messaging sending DMs about like the show and stuff like that. But man, like it's for me, man, it's still like surreal to do stuff like this because like yeah, it's episode 56 and like I've literally watched like so many peers that like I really 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 fuck with like on this show, And yeah, I feel like the way you really do your due diligence and like research about like the artist, it's not just about like you don't just ask like the same questions that like everybody will like ask, and like it really just shows like how much you care about like the culture and like care about like the musicians and like their actual like journeys, so like their stories and stuff. And yeah, nah, my journey's been like pretty, you know, like it's been like a interesting one. But like I would say even like the way like I was saying before, like with the intro that you like had for me was like even surreal, because like the way I even like operate like in the Web3 space is like, yo, I was before I got on, I was like, yo, like I think minus like interviews and very like, yo, this is specifically about me, like in for this like Twitter space. I don't even like really like shield or like even like talk about like my work like barely ever. And like it's amazing to see the connections I've been able to build with people by just like being me and showing up for people and shit like that, and not about like, yo, I'm just trying to like sell some work. And like when you were like referring to like the state of like how the music NFT space is, for me, I don't have the answers to shit, but like what I do feel is like if you're authentic and true, and you really care about this shit, like we're gonna all be able to like pivot and adapt to like whatever needs to be adapted to. And I'm a firm believer of like what I'm doing now and like the foundation I'm building like everything on. I'm gonna be good. Like like for example, the what we have like tweeted at the top, like that piece still hasn't even like sold yet. I think I minted that like on January well, I actually minted it on my birthday, January 23rd, early this year. And like it's one of those things where I was like, you know what? I'm perfectly fine with not that it hasn't sold yet, because like I know like whenever impact I'm making in this space, or like whenever like something like, oh, like we're really noticing Dom now. Eventually it's gonna sell, and like it's gonna sell like when it's ready, and I'm okay with that. And like I think that's like my mindset I'm trying to like have in this space of just like trying to have quality shit and build quality relationships, and like the sales will like kind of just like happen on their own. Um, I mean, I would say like of course you do have to like put yourself like out there and stuff like that, but I'm trying to like, I guess like my marketing is like just being as like authentic as possible, and like and having like dope shit, and not trying to force people to buy things, and a lot of the stuff will kind of just like happen like on itself.
Yo, G, you just bookended the episode with all the information that we needed. Again, it's been my pleasure listening to you chop, share your story, talk about your perspective in the space. I guarantee artists will hear this and have many gems to pull from. I want to thank you again for coming on and chopping it up with us. And I look forward to watching the rest of your journey as you continue to make dope shit.
Appreciate you, man. And also to shout out to everybody that's been listening. Shout out to the good brother Visionaire, good brother 20 Deuce. Carla was in here earlier. Draco was in here earlier. I believe some other people, but yeah, love and appreciate y'all. And I really appreciate you, bro, for having this platform for artists and continuously to do the work. I mean, because on your end, this is not even easy to do these like every single week, and how many episodes you already have like knocked out. Kind of, I mean, it just shows the dedication that you have for this. So yeah, man, really appreciate it, and definitely looking forward to the next artist, and just everybody's journey in this space.
Paid in full voice. I love the game. Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace, dog. Catch you later.